Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. And the topic for this week is going to be about the Dynamic Floating Toolbar. And that is the one that's found here at the top, kind of in the center of your workspace. And you'll notice that if you click on the little left-hand sort of corner of it, you can move it over to the left corner and I guess down so that it goes along the left-hand side. And those are sort of like the three default locations that you can put it on. Basically, this toolbar is one that will change depending on, here I'm trying to put it back, oh there. Depending on what you have selected or not selected. So when nothing is selected, it gives me, kind of a variety of tools that I might want to use, like a text tool or the digitizing tool or the ability to create artwork by, drawing or, basic shapes, rectangles, ellipses, the undo button, redo. This is like, this is magnifying glass for zooming in and out, turn on and off your 3D. Another font tool, this is font play, so if you wanted to use that to start up some text. And essentially you've got save to so on here and your program preferences. So the idea is those are things that you could quickly do with this toolbar. They're tools that you'll find on the other toolbars, but they've been curated for just the right occasion. What do you want to get started with? However, if you have some artwork on your screen already, so maybe let's use the artwork tool to create some kind of an ellipse shape or something like that. Notice now that when I click on the select tool, that the toolbar changed. So the icons that are on the dynamic floating toolbar have updated because currently we have selected a piece of artwork. And when you select a piece of artwork, it gives you different options than, for example, if I click off to not be selected, then I have when nothing's selected. And so when nothing's selected, you have the basic options. But when you select a shape and that shape is a piece of artwork, then the options change. So now I have a quick option to go to shape tool. So I've already selected it. Maybe you want to just, do some reshaping. You got the undo, the redo. Now you've got a duplicate tool. If you needed to have, more than one copy of this ellipse, you could just click on duplicate. And basically when you click on the duplicate tool, it means you can click and drag to make more of that same shape. And in this case, it's kind of unique because the further I drag my mouse, the bigger the shape will get. Or I can bring it backwards, and I can also change the orientation of it by just moving my mouse around. Either way, when you're using a tool like duplicate, if you want to stop using it or stop making ellipses, you right click. And then you're back to square one. Square one meaning your dynamic toolbar has the basic options, but when you take the select tool and select on one of them, those options change, and now you've got other things like creating an outline or creating a contour. You've got the flip, horizontal, vertical, as well as rotate 90 degrees, clockwise and counterclockwise. You also have an option to like fill and unfill your artwork. And if you're not having it filled, you can change the width of the outline. So if you want to make it more noticeable or easy to see, you can make the thickness of the outline thicker. Of course, that's just for artwork, because if you convert this artwork into thread, then it's going to change things again. So notice if I click on standard fill, and notice how after I clicked on standard fill and it's automatically selected, that my dynamic toolbar has changed a little bit. And so I still have the ability to go to shape tool, and I still have the ability to undo and redo and duplicate and create outlines and contours. But I think what mainly changed over here was now we have a quick option to do the underlay and the commands. And so underlay would mean, for example, if I click on that, a little menu pops up. And it's like, oh, you can have a contour underlay or a parallel or a center line or a perpendicular. And so these are underlay options. If I choose, for example, full lattice, it will change the underlay setting in the properties box to have a full lattice underlay on this shape. And so that is like a way that you can visually decide which kind of underlays that you want to have on a shape. Same thing with the commands. If you want to check on the trim option or the tie in or the tie off, you can come in here and set your tie ins and your tie offs to be, basic and or none. So see how it says none, but if I click here and I click on tie in, that updates the setting to be basic. So I think the idea with this toolbar is not to forget to look to it, because it often seems to have the tools that you want at just that time. Notice, for example, if I click on the shape tool, that the tool options changed again. And some of them are gray. And whenever a tool's gray, that means you can't use it at this time. And so, for example, right now, I've selected a piece of standard fill. And for example, right here, I could change the angle. Click on here, 0, 45, 90, 135. So if I choose 90, it'll update. Of course, you can come in here and adjust it to any angle, but there are presets that you can just quickly pull up. Same thing here, you've got your view outlines and it's like on or off. Here you've got the view inclinations on and off, and the view entry and exit on and off. So if you don't, if you want to just work on, for example, the outline and you don't want to see the other sort of marks, you can update that. Notice that when I click on one of the actual points, that more icons light up, and now I have the ability to convert that to a line or a cusp, or smooth it, or make it symmetrical. And so those are those are things that you can also access in other ways. Basically, everything that'll ever come up on this toolbar, there's another place that it could be found, but it's getting made sort of handy for us. And so that's why we call it a dynamic toolbar. And so, for example, if I say select this point and I say cusp, that means I could move each side of its sort of tangent lines independently, and when I right click, it'll update the stitches, to fill in to whatever shape I've made. So this is kind of the cool thing. Now the artwork tool or the knife tool, it wasn't available because you can only use the knife tools not when there's stitches, like when there's artwork. In other words, if I use my select tool and I select a different shape, and then I go to the shape tool, notice that the knife tool does become available on the floating toolbar when sort of the right sort of ingredients are ready. So in this case, I have used the shape tool with a piece of artwork, and now I can click on the knife tool and decide which kind of knife you want to get to use to slice your shape with. And you can just click and right click to slice your shape into two pieces, and always look to your dynamic toolbar for kind of the next tool that you might need to select, and or go into your shape tool. And so I thought that would be a great video for today to just review why we have the dynamic toolbar and how the options change and they make tools handy for us to find. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Until next week, have a great day. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.